Can't believe it's already been 6 weeks since I got my hair transplant in Turkey. And today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick review of the process that I had over in Turkey from the Dr. Cinik hair clinic in Istanbul. And basically what my experience was and how I felt throughout the entire procedure. Obviously right now it's too early to give a review on the results. As you can see right now, nothing's much changed since the last video. It's basically just a case of waiting for growth. We're still probably a good month, at least month and a half of that happening. So right now it is a waiting game in terms of how I feel right now. It's strange. I have kind of forgotten what it was like to have a good hairline that I did have for a small amount of time after the operation. And now I feel like I'm kind of going back to my old self, and a lot of that sort of insecurities and things like that regarding my hair is definitely coming back in. But that's something that I'm just accepted, that I've accepted, and that I will just grin and bear it until it gets to that point where I do start getting the growth, and it no longer looks like this. And hopefully this will start to grow in. I've not had any sort of haircut around the donor area yet. Part of that is a bit of, a bit nervous about if I was to go to a barber or whatever and ask for a haircut. Of course I'd instruct them to say, look, can you be careful around here? But, just in case something was to happen where they were to cut the hair by mistake, accidents happen and things like that. So I am slightly nervous about that. But I will probably go and get at least the sides done, because the sides are far enough away from where it was actually done. I could probably get something done to that, to try and take away the sort of extremities, because if I don't, then it means I'm going to be waiting like 6 months before I can get any haircut, and God knows what it would look like by then. So all my contacts and stuff with the hair clinic were done over WhatsApp. Everything was made pretty clear to me, prices, things like that, what I had to arrange at my side. And the good thing is, you book your flights. Mine were just for basically arrive on the Tuesday, go home on Thursday, and they will work everything around you, which is fantastic. So it means that you're not trying to work anything around them. They're very flexible that way. I thought that was fantastic. But more importantly, onto the actual journey itself. So got into Istanbul airport, and it was extremely late at night. I think it was probably about midnight, something like that. And a car came and got me and my partner, and there were like a couple of other guys as well who were there to get it done, so we all got picked up at the same time. Car was very nice. We got taken straight to the clinic, so there's no sort of going and relaxing beforehand, just straight to the clinic there. And basically what happened was I was taken in, so were the other guys. Luckily I was one of the first to be taken, if not the first. And that was for a ECG and a blood test. That would be done basically overnight, so that they had the results in the morning. And basically what happened was, got taken in a little side room, lay down, got those procedures done, was probably in there for 5 minutes, if that. Came back out. This had probably been after about maybe 10-15 minutes of waiting in the actual clinic itself to be taken. Quite exhausted, so just really wanted to get some sleep, because obviously the procedure was the very next day. So the good thing was, didn't have to wait on the rest of the guys. Me and this other guy and my partner, we were taken straight to our hotel after I'd had my tests done. We were taken there, straight to the hotel, booked in, straight to bed. Lovely hotel from what I could see that time of night, but to be honest with you, I wanted to crash. Luckily, I got a semi-decent amount of sleep, so I really just wanted to make sure that I got as much sleep as possible, because obviously I knew that it was going to be a lengthy procedure the next day. So the next morning came, and up until this point, I'd never really had any nerves about it. I hadn't really got scared, I hadn't thought about pain, anything like that, which was great. But then the morning of it came, and there was a lot of butterflies in the stomach, and it was just, overall quite nervous. Ate my breakfast, was getting picked up pretty early in the morning. I think it was about 8 or half 8, maybe later, half 9, I can't remember, but I know that the it was pretty much rushed from getting up in the morning to go and get breakfast, which I managed to force down because I knew that it was important to have something to eat. And yeah, after that it was a case of went downstairs, guy was ready to pick me up, and straight out to the clinic. Now, when I got to the clinic, there were a few different things, so it wasn't a case of going straight to your operating room. Sat there for a little while. There was obviously a lot of other people in the clinic. That was one thing that I definitely noticed, was the amount of people in the clinic in the daytime compared to the night before. Obviously, there was hardly any, but there's a lot of people milling about, staff, people who had been treated previously. So in the last few days, you could tell there was like red heads, scars, things like that. Nothing that scared me. Nothing that I was like, oh man, that looks. In fact, if anything, I thought these guys were maybe a few days or even weeks removed from the operation. So they were obviously, I think they were in to get their wash, which I'll go into. But yeah, so I was there. I wasn't left sitting around for too long. Someone came and got me, and then the first thing I did was went in to the same side room that I'd actually been in the night before, and they got a hair inspection. So basically what they did there is basically, that's a lie actually, I went down the stairs to a different room. Don't want Dr. Cinik watching this and seeing that I got information wrong. Went down the stairs into another room. They got all the kit there, so basically there was someone with a sort of telescopic camera who was sort of focusing on my head. And let me tell you, even if you've got the thickest hair in the world, when they go right in there, it looks completely like thin. And I was like, oh my god, are they even going to be able to do this operation? Is there going to be enough back inside to take? But that was fine. So they went in and they looked at all that, and they took this, and this was for Dr. Cinik himself, who would look at it later. And what happened then was I got taken up the stairs after that and sitting for like a few minutes, and then got taken in to see Dr. Cinik himself, who was very charismatic, pretty cool guy. He asked to see a picture from the past of when I had like a full head of hair. So I do have a particular picture that I showed him that I like. When I was abroad one time, I showed him it. He went, right, very good, very good. Asked me a few questions, things like that. And then basically came around to me with his marker pen and drew a hairline on my head, which I couldn't see at the time. And I was like, oh man, that feels a little high up. Maybe it's not going to be as low as I wanted. And then he went, have a look in the mirror, that's your new hairline. And I looked in the mirror and I was like, unbelievable, fantastic, brilliant. I had a big smile on my face, I could tell it was very exciting. So it is where it is now, you can just see it's faintly there. And compared to where my hair is, which is like back there, I was like, wow, that's fantastic. So if they could achieve that, then absolutely brilliant. So then after that, it was a case of going back out again to the waiting room, and then I went and got my before photographs taken from a nice young man who was, cool. And then after that, I went and sat down again, and then next came the operation. So I was taken along to the room, and I'm not going to lie, at this point, my nerves were probably at an all-time high. I'm pretty sure when they were shaving my head, they stopped because I was like visually like shaking. And they were asking me, are you okay? Are you okay? And I went, I'm just nervous. And they're like, cool, try to relax. And it is difficult to relax because you're in this room and everyone's speaking, Turkish, and so you can't understand what everyone's saying, and so you feel very isolated. As much as they try to comfort you, you do feel like you're in a very strange place, and it's quite scary. But it's fine. So head was shaved, then asked to lie down, and next came the pain-free anaesthetic. And I will tell you this, if you are thinking that the anaesthetic you'll be able to live with, well, I had the pain-free anaesthetic, and the moment those needles went in, despite the fact that they had tried to reduce the pain, the needles were absolutely excruciating. If that was the pain-free, I'd hate to get the painless or the painful or whatever injections. Basically, the only way I can describe it is imagine like a roller of like, someone going 1, 2, 3, 4 sort of piercings. It was piercings. It wasn't like small little. It was proper piercings hard into it. You could hear the crunch as it goes into your skin. And I felt every one of them. And I would say that was probably done at least 25 times before I stopped feeling it, because the anaesthetic did eventually kick in. And overall, that period of pain was really quite excruciating, to be honest with you. I genuinely could feel myself grimacing and just like get through this. And I did get through it, and once the anaesthetic had taken effect, it was probably before they actually started taking the extraction of the hairs from the donor area, in which case I would say that itself was actually painless. Couldn't feel a thing, which was great because it meant the anaesthetic had worked. And the anaesthetic, that sort of process of the pain and stuff like that, doesn't last long. 5 minutes, of a 7-hour operation. It's bearable, it's doable, but at the time, if you are looking to get this done and they offer you the pain-free anaesthetic, then I would encourage you to take it, but be aware there's still pain involved, regardless. And so the pain, ultimately though, I just thought to myself, you got to go through a little bit of pain to get to where you want to go. So basically they started the removal of the donor area, which was fine, but I could definitely sometimes catch glimpses of blood around about the sort of tills and stuff that were around my head space and on gloves and things like that. So that was a little freaky, but nothing major. And you're never going to see what's going on your head, so you're never going to get that gore factor. So I would say that if that's something you're worried about, then don't be. That's, it's completely painless and you'll get through it. So basically it was like a couple of hours of removing the hairs. And then came the second lot of injections. So this was the injections into the top of my skull. So this would obviously be the transplant area. Again, quite painful, but I would say it didn't last as long. So in terms of the pain, it didn't last as long. They did do quite a lot of injections, but I definitely felt like it was gone a lot quicker than the first time, but still painful. But you've got to expect that. Now, obviously, at this point, you're going to have, it's different. You're now getting stuff into your skull rather than taken out. So it's going to be a lot more invasive, I guess. So what they did is they gave me lunch just after my injections to give me time for that head to go numb, which was fine. Had lunch and basically they gave me some nice chicken and a yogurt and juice and stuff. So I was well fed and things like that. And that was probably for about half an hour, maybe slightly more. And then after that, I got my transplant done. So the hair's put in, which was a lengthy procedure, and I did wonder at one point when it was ever going to end. So that probably started, I want to say, the back of 1 o'clock that they started putting the hairs in. And then Dr. Cinik himself came in to check, which he had done previously before, and he came in to check on the operation. I think this was probably about 4:20, maybe. He came in and he was like, operation's been going really well. It should be finished in about 20 minutes. Well, I'll tell you something, that 20 minutes came and went, and I was still sitting there and, just like staring at so we had a TV on, which was just like a music channel, which was fine. But it had a clock on it, so I could actually see what the time was, and I could see how long it was. It was probably like that 20 minutes plus another hour. And that last hour was pretty painful. I don't know if it was because it wasn't injected with the anaesthetic properly, or if it was because it's just a sensitive part of the skull. But my crown, there was one part of my crown where I could feel each individual hair being implanted, and it was pretty painful. It was sore, but I didn't say anything because I was like, let's just get this done. I just said, let's get this done. And yeah, it was pretty bad, but once it was done, and that was it. After that, we were taken downstairs and we were had a meeting with one of the specialists, or one of the advisors, who basically just runs through all the things you're going to get. So I was given this bag of goodies away with me, and in that is all the medication you need. It is your shampoos and things like that, your ointments, whatever. A lovely little or big hat to wear. I've not actually worn it, so I think I wore it once, if that. It's basically just to protect your head, but I didn't use it, but that's because I virtually didn't leave the house for the first 7 days. So yeah, and what they do in that meeting is they basically run through your medication. They're very thorough with it and tell you what they're going to do with it and things like that. And what you need to do, how you need to sleep that first night. Very careful with that. That's really all the information you need at that point. So they give you that. They know that you're tired, you want to go home, you want to go to your room. So they're not going to run through all the sort of in-depth stuff. And basically what I did was I got picked up, again, taken back to the hotel. And I would reiterate, like, the things, the pickups are fantastic. The guys are, very helpful. These are just drivers, but they're great. And I mean, one particular guy, the guy who picked me up and took me back to the hotel after the operation, he stopped the car outside my hotel, and I was about to get out, and he was like, no, don't get out. He came round, and he was like, his door was open, and he was like, no, stay there, don't sit up. And he just went to me, mate, really careful. And he was like, right, come on. And I was coming in. He's like, right. And he's like, what's your head? After and I shook his hand. He was like a really nice guy and stuff like that. And I would say that was definitely part of the service was fantastic in terms of pickups and drop offs. They were absolutely spot on. You have nothing to worry about on the inside in terms of that side of things. And then, so that was the first night, and then obviously I went and sort of slept, breakfast the next morning, and then got picked up the next morning for my sort of final briefing, I guess it would be, over how to look after your hair, what's going to be happening over the coming weeks, how to wash it, got the wash, got a health check, and things like that. So overall, just see the operation was a success, and they checked it and everything was fine and good and fantastic. Waiting around there for a little while, but it was so busy, so many people in there getting seen. But I certainly wouldn't say that was a negative. That just shows that they're not rushing people in and out the door. And then got picked up and taken straight to the airport, and that was it. Made my way home. So overall, I would say that the operation itself had some pain points in it, but nothing that you can't get through. What I would say is the service itself, I found fantastic. And I think, going to a non-English speaking country, I think is maybe one of the things that worries people. It was certainly one of the things that worried me, just because, you're not just free to open up conversation all the time, and I think that's something that can make people a bit nervous. But I was put at ease throughout it, and I thought it was a fantastic experience. And if I was to need it again, then I probably would choose Dr. Cinik again. Now I know how thorough they are, very sort of checking up on me, things like that. So since the operation, they've been in contact with me. They were in contact with me quite a lot during the sort of definitely the first 2 weeks, and then for the rest of the month also. But said, and then kind of after that, just said their goodbyes and things, but said that it would be there at my disposal whenever I need them, which is really good. If you are worried that you're going to need to ask questions, I certainly did when it came to exercise and things like that, and they'll still be really good at answering that. So overall, I would definitely recommend Dr. Cinik, and for me, I guess it's just a case of waiting to see what the results are long term. But very happy with my choice, and I would recommend it if it's somewhere you're thinking of going. Obviously do your research, and but yeah, Dr. Cinik, thumbs up. So thanks very much.